In bunkers and war rooms, world leaders screamed at each other. Some demanded surrender, others called for war. Scientists scored every database for proof of this so-called weapon. Nothing. Because there was no weapon, not one they could explain. And yet the aliens believed. On the other side of the world, RedCaptain stood at the edge of a hidden hangar, staring at the rusting shape of an old warship. Its paint was scared, its hull dented, but to him it was more than steel. It was memory. He ran his hand across the metal, whispering almost to himself, "You remember, don't you? They bled once. They'll bleed again." Behind him, the general cleared his throat. "The governments, they want you in the council chambers. They think you can explain." RedCaptain shook his head. "Explain? No, they wouldn't believe me. They've forgotten what we are." The general frowned. "Then what do we do?" The old captain turned, eyes hard as iron. "We remind them." Above Earth, alien formations shifted. Whole continents fell under shadow. The fleet was so vast it seemed endless. Humanity's satellites blinked offline as alien jammers cut the skies apart. Civilian broadcasts filled with panic, rumors, wild theories. Some said the secret weapon was buried under Antarctica. Others swore it was hidden in genetic labs. A few whispered darker tales, that humanity itself was the weapon, cursed and dangerous. And somewhere, the truth laughed in silence. Because that last rumor was not so far from the truth. In a council chamber deep beneath Geneva, leaders argued until their voices cracked. "They'll kill us all," shouted one. "We must give them something," demanded another. "Peace is impossible. They want our extinction, no matter what we say," cried a third. The room descended into chaos until a single voice cut through. Calm, sharp, unyielding. "Enough." RedCaptain stepped forward, summoned at last. His boots echoed on the stone floor. His scared face drew stares of both awe and fear. "You fight among yourselves," he said coldly. "And while you argue, the enemy sharpens its knives. You ask me for answers. Here they are. They don't fear your missiles. They don't fear your fleets. They don't fear your cities. They fear us." Silence filled the chamber. RedCaptain leaned forward, eyes burning. "The secret they demand. It isn't a bomb. It isn't technology. It's what happens when you push humans to the brink. It's what happens when survival is all that remains. We adapt. We endure. And we fight harder than anyone alive." Some leaders scoffed, refusing to believe. Others stared, pale with dawning understanding. "Then why threaten us?" one asked. "Because," RedCaptain said, "they know once this war begins, it won't end until one of us is ashes. And they remember the last time they tried." Across the world, riots broke out as the countdown ticked unseen. Cities burned. Armies mobilized. Humanity stood on the edge of chaos. And high above, the alien fleet prepared to strike. Their ultimatum was simple. Their patience was gone. Humanity had one cycle left, one heartbeat before the storm. And only RedCaptain knew the truth. The aliens were not demanding surrender. They were demanding mercy. The cycle was ending. The first strike was coming. And RedCaptain was ready. The countdown ended in fire. At first, people thought it was thunder. A low, rolling growl that shook windows and rattled bones. Then the sky tore open. Alien ships, black and gleaming, broke formation. They descended in swarms, their weapons glowing like falling suns. Earth had not surrendered. Now the Union would make good on its promise. The first city hit was Manila. Cameras captured the moment. A wall of light crashing into the sea, boiling entire harbors into steam. A second blast leveled skyscrapers as if they were paper. Within minutes, chaos spread across the globe. Beijing, Rio, Lagos, Berlin. The aliens didn't aim to conquer, they aimed to terrify. In control rooms, human generals screamed orders. Missiles fired. Fighter jets scrambled, but it was like throwing stones at a hurricane. Alien shields shimmered, impenetrable. Human weapons fizzled, falling uselessly back to Earth. Billions watched in horror as humanity's defenses cracked. And then, somewhere in the black, one ship moved differently. It wasn't new, it wasn't sleek, it wasn't powerful. But it was his. RedCaptain had returned to war. In the hidden hangar, the ancient warship roared to life. Systems that had slept for decades blinked awake. The ship was battered, patched with old scars, but RedCaptain moved through it like a man greeting an old friend. "Engines live," he muttered. "Guns ready." His voice carried no fear, only certainty. The general beside him shook his head. "This ship can't match their technology. It's suicide." RedCaptain smirked. That's what they thought last time. The hangar doors split apart, and the old warship rose into the burning sky. The alien spat, voice full of venom. "If humanity spreads, there will be no union. Only fire. Only endless war." For the first time, the general understood. They're not just trying to conquer us. They're trying to erase us. They think it's the only way to survive. The alien laughed again. "You finally see. You are a disease, human. War is your breath, and plague your gift. We would rather kill you all now than watch the stars drown in your madness." RedCaptain stood. His chair scraped across the floor. He stared down at the prisoner, his voice low, almost a whisper. "Then you should have finished me last time." The alien's smirk faded. "Because now," RedCaptain continued, "you've reminded humanity what it is, and you'll regret that." Hours later, in the War Council, leaders argued over the revelation. Some were horrified. If humanity truly thrived in war, then wasn't the alien fear justified? Were humans cursed to destroy everything they touched? But RedCaptain silenced the room with one sentence. "Call it a curse if you want. I call it survival." He looked around the table, at faces weary with fear. The Union didn't come to negotiate. They came to erase us before we could stand. That means only one thing. This fight was always inevitable. The only choice now is whether we make them fear us again. Above Earth, alien fleets regrouped. Thousands of ships repositioned, preparing for a second strike. In the shadows of orbit, human salvage crews picked through wreckage, recovering scraps of alien technology, scavenging weapons, patching broken ships. Humanity was already adapting. And RedCaptain knew this was only the beginning. The aliens thought they understood the secret of humanity. But soon, they would learn the truth. Humans didn't just survive war. They became it. The War Council room smelled of fear. Maps and projections filled the screens, glowing with alien red. The Union fleet stretched across half the sky, tightening its grip around Earth. Every human fleet was broken, scattered, bleeding. Hope was gone. Until he spoke. RedCaptain rose from his seat, his presence commanding silence. His voice cut through the room like steel. "They think they've already won. They think humanity will break." He stabbed a finger at the display, directly at the largest symbol in orbit, the Union's command ship. But there's one thing they forgot. Humanity doesn't win safe battles. We win impossible ones. The room fell quiet. The leaders stared at him in disbelief. "You want us to attack their flagship?" one stammered. "It's suicide," another shouted. RedCaptain's eyes burned with fire. Exactly. The plan was madness. Take what was left of humanity's fleet, rusting ships, salvaged wrecks, retrofitted freighters, and throw them at the Union's command ship head-on. No retreat, no fallback. A strike so reckless, so unpredictable, the aliens wouldn't be able to counter it. The generals called it insanity. But the soldiers? They called it hope. Because for the first time, someone had given them a plan. In the darkness of orbit, human crews worked without rest. Old warships were patched with alien scrap. Civilian freighters were armored with steel plating. Engines were overclocked to the point of explosion. Every vessel, no matter how broken, was pressed into service. RedCaptain walked the hangars, speaking to the crews. He didn't give speeches of glory. He gave truth. Most of you won't make it back, he told them. But if you fall buying time. And time is how we win. Because every second we live, we adapt. And every second they fight us, they bleed. The crews saluted him with steady eyes. Not because they believed in survival, but because they believed in him. Above, the alien commander watched humanity's scattered fleet stirring. He sneered. They crawl like insects. Broken ships, pitiful firepower. Crush them when they rise. But his second officer hesitated. Commander, these patterns, they are not defensive. They are converging. The commander frowned. Impossible. No species would throw themselves against a flagship. But deep in his mind, a shadow stirred. A memory of stories told in hushed tones. Of humans who had once charged far greater odds and survived. The fleet assembled in silence. 12 warships, 24 civilian hulks. Barely an armada. More like a funeral procession. At its head, the old red warship burned bright. RedCaptain sat in the command chair, scarred hands gripping the armrests. His voice carried across comms, steady as stone. Today, humanity is not outnumbered. Today, they are outmatched. Today, they are afraid. Let's remind them why. And with that, the fleet dove. The first clash was brutal. Alien guns lit up the void, tearing through human hulls. Ships exploded in blossoms of fire. But humanity did not scatter. They pressed forward. Every death pushed them closer. Every wreck became cover for the next wave. Above, alien attack wings sliced through Earth's last defenses. Fighter squadrons died by the dozens. Orbital stations shattered like glass. The Union fleet didn't even slow. Until RedCaptain struck. His ship cut across the formation, engines flaring bright red against the void. He didn't bother with precision. He dove straight at them, weaving through fire, guns blazing. Alien shields flared under his assault. For the first time, Union ships staggered. Their perfect formations cracked. The humans watching from the ground saw it, one lone vessel diving into the impossible. And they cheered. Inside the alien command ship, officers shouted over each other. Identify the attacker. Primitive vessel, captain. Outdated weapons. Then why are our escorts breaking? The alien commander narrowed his eyes. It's him. It's the red one. The human they swore was gone. Fear rippled across the bridge, because every officer there knew the stories. Fleets lost, armies bled dry, and one human at the center of it all. On the battlefield, RedCaptain fought like a man possessed. He didn't match their power. He outmaneuvered it. Every blast he fired was a feint. Every retreat, a trap. His ship twisted through enemy lines like a blade, forcing alien squadrons to chase him into collisions, into crossfire, into chaos. For the first time in the invasion, alien ships burned. On Earth, people shouted at screens, stunned. Humanity had drawn blood. But victory had a price. RedCaptain's ship shuddered under impact. Alarms screamed. Hull plating peeled away. Still, he pressed forward, eyes cold and steady. They'll hit us harder now, the general warned. They already are, RedCaptain said. But that's the point. What point? They're afraid, and fear makes them sloppy. The Union commander snarled. Enough. End this. Crush the red one before his sickness spreads. Orders echoed across the fleet. Dozens of ships broke off, converging on a single target. RedCaptain. The old warship dove again, engines screaming, as a storm of alien fire closed in. He didn't turn away. He never turned away. From the surface, millions watched a single red trail streak across the heavens, chased by half the alien fleet. Humanity's armies had failed. Its governments had faltered. But one man, one ship, had lit a spark. And that spark was about to set the galaxy on fire. The aliens thought they had tested humanity's defenses, but what they had really done was awaken its fury. The battlefield drifted in silence. Wreckage from both fleets floated through orbit, burning hulls, broken wings, shattered metal raining into the atmosphere like fiery meteors. Humanity had lost much, but for the first time, the Union had lost too. And that changed everything. Inside a fortified facility beneath the Rockies, floodlights glared down on an alien prisoner. Shackled, bound, yet still radiating cold arrogance, the creature stared at its captors with unblinking eyes. For hours, scientists tried questions, demands, bargains. The alien only sneered, silent and immovable, until RedCaptain walked in. The room shifted instantly. The alien's jaw tightened. Its eyes flickered with something almost like fear. "You know me," RedCaptain said, pulling up a chair across from it. His voice was calm, but his presence pressed on the room like a storm cloud. The alien hissed softly. "The butcher of Carthus. The ghost of Elen. You should be dead." RedCaptain leaned forward. "And yet here I am. So tell me, what is it you're really after? Why are your fleets above my world?" The alien laughed, a broken metallic sound. "You think we fear your machines, your weapons. You are children with sticks. But you change. That is what terrifies us. You never stop changing." In the observation chamber, the general frowned. "Changing? What does it mean?" RedCaptain didn't look away from the prisoner. His eyes burned with memory. "It means," he said slowly, "they've seen what happens when humans go to war." The alien sneered. "Your kind is fragile, weak. You break easily. But each time you break, you grow sharper, stronger. You learn faster than any species. One war, one cycle, and you evolve. Where others fall, you rise again." The prisoner leaned closer, its chains rattling. "That is the secret. Not a weapon, not a device. It is you. Your endless hunger to endure." The room went silent. The generals, the scientists, even the guards, none spoke. Because deep down, they felt the truth in those words. Humanity was not the strongest, not the most advanced, not the wisest. But when faced with war, humanity adapted, evolved, became something new. And that was what the galaxy feared. RedCaptain's eyes narrowed. "That's why you came here. Not to demand our secret. To stop it. To smother us before we grow again." The void burned brighter than the sun. The Union fleet had turned every weapon, every cannon, every beam of annihilation against a single target. One battered red warship clawing toward their flagship. For humanity, this was the end. For the aliens, it was desperation. For RedCaptain, it was just another fight. Earth trembled under the bombardment. Entire cities vanished beneath alien fire. Oceans boiled. Skies turned black. Humanity had no shields left, no armies left, no time left. And yet every surviving screen showed the same thing. A single vessel, breaking apart, refusing to fall. On the Union command deck, officers stared in disbelief. Why does it still advance? Half its hull is gone. No ship can survive this. But still the red ship came, and the names spread across human lips and alien whispers alike. RedCaptain. Inside the bridge, chaos reigned. Consoles exploded. Fires roared. Crew members fought not for survival, but for every extra second they could give their captain. "We've lost engines 2 and 3. Reactor breach imminent. We can't hold much longer." RedCaptain stood tall amidst the inferno, his uniform scorched, his voice unshaken. "Then we make our seconds count." The Union commander watched, dread clawing at his chest. He barked orders to unleash another wave, but hesitation rippled through his officers. "They keep coming," one whispered. "Even in death, they advance." "They are not fighting for victory," another muttered. "They are fighting to endure." And in that moment, the Union commander realized the truth. Even if humanity died today, the galaxy would never forget how they fought. On Earth, billions prayed, wept, shouted, and cheered. Children clung to screens. Soldiers in ruined trenches saluted. Civilians in shattered cities whispered one word like a prayer: fight. Because RedCaptain wasn't just a man anymore. He was humanity itself. The red ship burst through the final wave of escorts, hull burning, guns silent, engines sputtering. Ahead loomed the Union flagship, massive and terrible. RedCaptain turned to his crew, eyes sharp as steel. This is where we ended. Not for medals, not for glory. For them. His crew nodded, faces set in grim pride. None turned away. The ship roared forward one last time. The Union commander's voice broke as he shouted, "Destroy them! Destroy them now!" Cannons fired. Beams lanced. The void erupted with fury. And through it all, the red warship dove, straight into the heart of the Union flagship. Impact. Light swallowed everything. For a long, breathless moment, silence reigned. Then, slowly, the cameras cleared. Where the Union flagship had stood, there was only wreckage. A burning carcass drifting lifeless in orbit. The red warship was gone. On Earth, the silence broke into thunder. Shouts, screams, tears. Humanity had survived. The invincible Union had been broken, not by fleets, not by armies, but by one man who refused to surrender. Across the galaxy, worlds under Union rule stirred. Whispers spread. If humans could defy the Union, maybe others could too. The age of fear had ended. A new age, born of defiance, had begun. In the aftermath, humanity searched the wreckage for RedCaptain. No body was found. No trace of him remained. Only fragments of the red ship, drifting like embers in the dark. Some said he had died in the explosion, a warrior's death. Others whispered he had survived, vanished into the void to fight again when needed. And so, RedCaptain became more than a man. He became a legend. Children grew up hearing his story. Soldiers carried his name into battle. Even aliens spoke it in fear, because the Union had demanded humanity's secret. And RedCaptain had shown them the answer. The secret was war. The secret was defiance. The secret was humanity itself. The stars still burn. The Union still waits. And somewhere, out there in the dark, the RedCaptain may still be watching. The void burned brighter than the sun. The Union fleet had turned every weapon, every cannon, every beam of annihilation against a single target. One battered red warship clawing toward their flagship. For humanity, this was the end. For the aliens, it was desperation. For RedCaptain, it was just another fight. Earth trembled under the bombardment. Entire cities vanished beneath alien fire. Oceans boiled. Skies turned black. Humanity had no shields left, no armies left, no time left. And yet every surviving screen showed the same thing. A single vessel, breaking apart, refusing to fall. On the Union command deck, officers stared in disbelief. Why does it still advance? Half its hull is gone. No ship can survive this. But still the red ship came, and the name spread across human lips and alien whispers alike. RedCaptain. Inside the bridge, chaos reigned. Consoles exploded. Fires roared. Crew members fought not for survival, but for every extra second they could give their captain. We've lost engines 2 and 3. Reactor breach imminent. We can't hold much longer. RedCaptain stood tall amidst the inferno, his uniform scorched, his voice unshaken. Then we make our seconds count. The Union commander watched, dread clawing at his chest. He barked orders to unleash another wave, but hesitation rippled through his officers. They keep coming, one whispered. Even in death, they advance. They are not fighting for victory, another muttered. They are fighting to endure. And in that moment, the Union commander realized the truth. Even if humanity died today, The galaxy would never forget how they fought. On Earth, billions prayed, wept, shouted, and cheered. Children clung to screens. Soldiers in ruined trenches saluted. Civilians in shattered cities whispered one word like a prayer: fight. Because RedCaptain wasn't just a man anymore. He was humanity itself. The red ship burst through the final wave of escorts, hull burning, guns silent, engines sputtering. Ahead loomed the Union flagship, massive and terrible. RedCaptain turned to his crew, eyes sharp as steel. This is where we end it. Not for medals, not for glory. For them. His crew nodded, faces set in grim pride. None turned away. The ship roared forward one last time. The Union commander's voice broke as he shouted, "Destroy them. Destroy them now." Cannons fired. Beams lanced. The void erupted with fury. And through it all, the red warship dove, straight into the heart of the Union flagship. Impact. Light swallowed everything. For a long, breathless moment, silence reigned. Then, slowly, the cameras cleared. Where the Union flagship had stood, there was only wreckage. A burning carcass drifting lifeless in orbit. The red warship was gone. On Earth, the silence broke into thunder. Shouts, screams, tears. Humanity had survived. The invincible Union had been broken, not by fleets, not by armies, but by one man who refused to surrender. Across the galaxy, worlds under Union rule stirred. Whispers spread. If humans could defy the Union, maybe others could too. The age of fear had ended. A new age, born of defiance, had begun. In the aftermath, humanity searched the wreckage for RedCaptain. No body was found. No trace of him remained. Only fragments of the red ship, drifting like embers in the dark. Some said he had died in the explosion, a warrior's death. Others whispered he had survived, vanished into the void to fight again when needed. And so, RedCaptain became more than a man. He became a legend. Children grew up hearing his story. Soldiers carried his name into battle. Even aliens spoke it in fear, because the Union had demanded humanity's secret, and RedCaptain had shown them the answer. The secret was war. The secret was defiance. The secret was humanity itself. The stars still burn. The Union still waits. And somewhere, out there in the dark, the RedCaptain may still be watching. The aliens faltered. Their perfect formations broke under the sheer madness of the charge. And at the center of the storm, RedCaptain drove his ship straight at the Union's flagship. The alien commander bared his teeth. Insane fools. Do they not value their lives? His officer whispered, trembling. That is why we fear them, Commander. They fight as if death is nothing. They fight as if war is all they are. RedCaptain's ship was torn apart piece by piece. Hull breaches, fires, systems screaming. Still, he pressed forward. Target their command bridge, he ordered calmly, even if we burn doing it. The general beside him swallowed hard. And if we fail? RedCaptain's eyes never left the burning enemy ship ahead. Then they'll know humanity never stops. The red warship flared engines one last time and dove into the storm. The Union thought they understood humanity. But now, they faced a truth written in fire. Humans don't avoid impossible battles. They win them. The Union flagship burned. Scars cut deep across its black hull. Towers of fire spewed from its vents. Entire wings of escorts floated dead, their wreckage glowing in the void. And through the smoke, one ship remained, red, broken, still charging. Inside the flagship's command chamber, panic spread like wildfire. Officers shouted reports, alarms shrieked, systems failed one by one. The human vessel is still advancing. Shields collapsing. They should already be dead. The Union commander gripped the railing, his face pale. He had fought countless wars. He had crushed empires, but never, not once, had he seen an enemy that refused to die. Who are these creatures? He whispered. Behind him, His second officer answered with a trembling voice. They are the ones the archives spoke of. The ones who rise in war. The contagion of resilience. Humans. The commander turned, eyes wide. Then it is true. The stories. The red one. And for the first time in his long career, he felt fear. Across Earth, humanity watched. Screens flickered with live feeds from orbital drones. Billions saw the impossible. A lone red warship battering the flagship of a galactic superpower. For the first time since the invasion began, people cheered. Not because they thought they had won, but because they realized they could fight. On the human ship, RedCaptain's voice was steady, even as sparks rained from the ceiling and smoke filled the bridge. Hold the course, he ordered. Sir, we've lost half the deck. Then fight with the half we have left. His crew obeyed, not because survival was certain, but because in his presence, death itself seemed less final. The Union commander's fear grew. He slammed his fist on the console. Open a channel to the humans. Static crackled across frequencies. Then, for the first time, the alien voice changed. It was no longer cold and commanding. It was pleading. Humans, stop this madness. Tell us how you endure. Tell us how you survive. Tell us the secret. Spare us the plague of your kind. On the bridge of the red warship, silence followed the transmission. Crew members exchanged glances. Shock. Confusion. The Union, the conquerors of 1,000 worlds, were begging. RedCaptain's lips curled in a grim smile. He stood, leaning toward the comms. His voice carried like iron across the void. You still don't understand. There is no secret, no machine, no weapon. The truth is simple. He paused, letting the silence stretch like a blade. We don't stop. The words echoed across every human channel. Billions heard them, and billions believed. The Union commander trembled. Then there is no hope. They are not a species. They are a storm. Around him, his officers whispered in terror. What do we do? If they spread beyond this system, the Union will collapse. Every world will burn like this one. The commander's jaw tightened. He looked once more at the red ship clawing toward his bridge. Then we must destroy them now, he said, no matter the cost. On the red warship, alarms screamed louder. Hull plating tore away. Fires raged across decks. The general beside RedCaptain gripped the chair. They're going to throw everything at us. We can't survive this. RedCaptain's eyes never wavered. He looked out the viewport, where the Union fleet shifted into new formations, preparing for a final strike. Then we give them a reason to remember us, he said. Above Earth, the Union fleet turned as one. Thousands of guns charged. Energy flared brighter than suns. They were no longer demanding surrender. They were preparing to erase humanity forever. The Union had begged for the secret. Now denied. They would unleash everything. And RedCaptain would answer with fire. But while presidents argued and generals searched the skies for impossible weapons, one man sat in silence underground, waiting. He had been waiting for years. In the cold silence of a forgotten bunker, a figure stirred. His name had been erased from history books, his battles hidden from public memory. Yet in the darkest corners of alien archives, his name lived on in whispers and curses. RedCaptain. The man who once commanded a unit that should have been wiped out, but wasn't. The man who turned impossible battles into blood-soaked victories. The man who had shown the galaxy what humanity truly was when cornered. The aliens had not come here by chance. They had come because of him. The general who had come to fetch him kept his voice steady, though his hands trembled. Captain, the world is falling apart. They believe you know something. Something we don't. RedCaptain's eyes were shadowed, hard. They're not wrong. The general leaned forward. Then tell us, please, what is this secret? What are they afraid of? The old soldier's lips curled in something between a smile and a grimace. They're not afraid of what we have. They're afraid of what we become. The general frowned, confused. That doesn't make sense. It will, RedCaptain said softly. When the shooting starts. Above Earth, alien patrol ships slipped into low orbit, blackening the sky. Some hovered over capitals, others over oceans, like vultures circling prey. Humanity's defenses were useless. Primitive rockets and satellites compared to the sleek, living war machines overhead. Panic spread. Crowds demanded answers. World leaders pressed each other in endless conferences, searching for something, anything, to bargain with. But there was nothing to give, except for him. RedCaptain had been silent for a long time. After the campaign of Lost Sons, a war officially denied by every government, he had vanished. His unit, once 20,000 strong, had been reduced to less than 100 survivors. Those who lived whispered his name with awe and fear, because he had led them into hell and brought them back. In the bunker, the general slid a file across the table, classified, stamped with a dozen warnings. Redacted records. Some of us dug deeper. We found your name. The missions, the disappearances, entire fleets gone without explanation. We found fragments of what you did out there. RedCaptain didn't touch the file. He just stared at the lamplight, lost in memory. You found nothing, he said, because the truth was buried for a reason. Humanity wasn't ready to know. Still isn't. The general's jaw tightened. And yet here we are. Billions of lives at stake. Ready or not, the truth is coming. RedCaptain's silence was answer enough. That night, as riots erupted across cities, a strange thing happened. An alien transmission cut across every channel again. But this time, it was different. Not just a demand. A story. It showed ancient battlefields among the stars. Corpses of alien soldiers piled high. Charred fleets drifting dead in space. And then, humans. Small units of soldiers in battered armor, wielding primitive weapons, cutting through enemies far stronger than them. It was not propaganda. It was history. The aliens were showing the truth. They had fought humanity before. They had lost. The broadcast ended with one final, chilling sentence. You cannot hide him from us. The RedCaptain belongs to us. In the bunker, alarms blared. The general burst into the room, pale. They know. They've named you. They're calling you out. RedCaptain slowly stood. His uniform was old, his body scarred, but his presence filled the room with something heavier than fear. They always do, he muttered. He walked toward the exit, each step echoing in the silence. For years he had hidden, trying to forget. But now the galaxy had dragged his name back into the open. The time for hiding was over. Above Earth, the alien ships shifted again, descending lower. Cities trembled as their shadows deepened. Humanity watched in terror. And somewhere in the dark, RedCaptain began to prepare. Not for peace, not for surrender, for war. The world thought it needed a secret weapon, but what it really had was him. The alien voice returned at dawn. Every channel, every screen, every speaker. The words fell like a hammer across the world. Surrender your hidden weapon. One cycle remains, or your world burns. No longer a warning. This was a clock. Humanity's last hours had begun. The message echoed in homes, schools, offices. Mothers clutched children. Soldiers gripped rifles. Priests whispered prayers. For the first time in centuries, every human being heard the same voice, and every human felt the same dread. How long was a cycle? Nobody knew. Hours, days, but the truth was clear. Humanity had been placed on a timer, a countdown to extinction.